It begins quietly, unnoticed by anyone. You're just 7 years old looking into the weary eyes of a parent coming undone. Maybe it's the pull of addiction. Maybe it's anger that never cools. Maybe it's the emptiness of someone too broken to care. And without needing to hear a word, something ancient awakens in your young mind. If I don't hold it together, everything will fall apart. This is how a child vanishes, not from sight, but from self. They start smiling more than they should. They hold back their tears. They learn to scan the emotional weather before speaking a single word. They become the stabilizer, the unspoken caretaker. They step into adulthood far too soon, and the world applauds their composure. So mature, so reliable, so strong. Yet no one ever asks the question that matters. What did it cost you? This is the hidden mourning of those who had to grow up too early. And today we're peeling back the layers of that child's psychology because those wounds don't vanish with time. They quietly sculpt your relationships, your ambitions, your sense of worth. Without awareness, you keep replaying the same survival scripts that once protected you, but now quietly destroy you. So let's look at what truly happens beneath the surface. When a child is expected to carry emotional burdens meant for adults, psychologists call this parentification. It's when the roles reverse, the child becomes the caretaker, mediator, therapist, even the protector. It's not just damaging, it reshapes the developing brain. A child forced to regulate others' emotions learns hypervigilance, constant alertness to threat. You start reading every tone, every look, every shift in atmosphere. You tread carefully, believing affection must be earned. Love becomes a trade. You offer calm in exchange for safety. Your needs begin to feel dangerous. Their needs become sacred. So you retreat, not in body but in spirit. And in your absence, a polished version of you forms. The model child, the quiet achiever, the emotional support for everyone. You wear that mask so long, it fuses with your identity. Even you start to believe that's who you are. But deep inside, something throbs with unspoken grief. The child you buried is still there, crying in silence, asking, "Why didn't anyone protect me?" As adulthood arrives, the pain evolves. You might become fiercely independent, rejecting help, keeping distance, never feeling truly secure in love. Happiness can feel alien, undeserved, even unsafe. Rest may feel impossible because stillness threatens the illusion of worth. Productivity becomes your proof of value. And perhaps the most haunting part is that you might not even know you're still operating from survival. Because when dysfunction becomes the air you breathe early on, your nervous system begins to confuse chaos with comfort. Silence feels unnatural, peace feels suspicious, love feels like a contract waiting to collect interest. This is the emotional landscape of a child who was forced to grow up too soon. It isn't merely sadness, it's a deep, adaptive trauma that rewires perception itself. You start to see the world and yourself through the lens of duty rather than safety. And if you wonder why any child would carry such weight, the answer is painfully simple. Children will sacrifice anything for connection, even their own authenticity. The choice is never rational, it's instinct, it's biology. In a world where safety disappears, belonging becomes oxygen. That isn't fragility, it's survival intelligence. But here lies the tragedy. The same instincts that once shielded you now keep you imprisoned. So many adults walk through life looking composed, yet carrying invisible children within, still begging to be seen. We strive harder to earn affection. We silence our needs to avoid rejection. We nurture others hoping someone, someday, will finally notice our quiet exhaustion. And beneath all the functioning and smiling lives, a longing. The fantasy that someone will see through the facade, that one day will collapse into safety and finally be held. That longing isn't your adult self speaking, it's the small child who never got to rest. The real beginning of healing isn't about fixing, it's about acknowledgement. Because until you recognize what happened, you'll keep invalidating yourself with lines like, "It wasn't that bad. Others had it worse. I turned out fine." But fine is just another costume, and deep down you know it doesn't fit. So what becomes of that child once they grow? They turn into adults who can't relax, even in calm rooms. They become partners who flinch at kindness, givers who cannot receive. They say sorry for crying. They feel guilt for needing. They confuse exhaustion with accomplishment. This is the unseen debt of a childhood that demanded strength instead of softness. If your early life trained you to hide your tenderness, to stay quiet instead of truthful, to fix others while ignoring your own cracks, then adulthood becomes an endless holding pattern, waiting for permission to finally exhale. But here's the truth no one tells you. The rescuer isn't coming. You are the one who must go back for that forgotten child. You are the one who must whisper the words they never heard. You didn't deserve that. You were only a child. You're allowed to rest now. This is where real shadow work begins. It's not about performing positivity or pretending to be healed. It's about turning toward the abandoned fragments of yourself and saying, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not leaving. That's the repair. And it's not gentle, it's raw, because it demands you feel the grief you postponed. It asks you to sit with the rage, the loneliness, the unmet needs, to cry for the birthdays that never mattered, to mourn the childhood that ended too soon. Yet that mourning is not weakness, it's evidence of thawing. It means what was frozen is finally softening. And as the ice begins to melt, the patterns start revealing themselves in adult life. You might become the emotional caretaker in every friendship, the one everyone confides in but no one truly knows. You might earn admiration for your independence while secretly fearing you're too much to love. You might stay in relationships where you overfunction, always explaining, always fixing, wondering why resentment follows you like a shadow. You might struggle to set boundaries because saying no still feels like betrayal. None of this defines your personality. These are learned reflexes, adaptations that once ensured survival. And the good news is they can be unlearned, but only when you stop glorifying strength and begin honoring the pain underneath it. One of the most transformative steps is to ask your inner child, what did you need that you never received? The answers may come softly. I needed to hear it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to notice. I needed space to play, to rest, to laugh without fear. And piece by piece, you begin offering yourself what was missing, not to rewrite history, but to stop reliving it. That is how the cycle begins to end. That is how you stop mistaking anxiety for intuition and stop searching for parents in the people you love. This is how you stop escaping the child you once were and begin meeting the person you're meant to become. Carl Jung once said, no one becomes conscious without pain. People will go to any extreme, however irrational, to avoid meeting their own soul. Yet the path of shadow work insists that we turn toward it. All of it. The forgotten, the frightened, the furious, the shamed. Because healing was never about reinventing yourself. It's about reclaiming the self that existed before the world began rewriting your story. So if you were one of those children who carried too much too soon, understand this. Your maturity was never the flaw. The flaw was that you were never given the option to just be young, but now that choice belongs to you. You can choose gentleness instead of vigilance. You can allow yourself to rest without guilt. You can stop trying to regulate everyone else's storms and finally learn to listen to your own tides. And no, this awakening won't happen in a single sunrise. There will be moments when you feel small again, uncertain, tender. That's not regression, it's remembrance. It means the child within you is returning home. Let them cry, let them laugh, let them exist without performance. Because your brokenness was never real. It was only fragmentation. You are not shattered, you are reassembling. And perhaps for the first time, you are growing in the direction that was always meant for you. Not through pressure or fear or obligation, but through clarity. You may not have had the freedom of a true childhood, but you still hold the pen for what comes next. And this time, you get to author it consciously. This time, you grow not to survive, but to live.